In the interest of self-care, I'm going to stay sitting down because I'm not used to doing this. I'm a little bit nervous. So what a mind-blowing amount of thought and articulacy has been here today. And it got me thinking in the tea break about what I was going to talk about, which is essentially an idea about sharing. But what stopped me as I was sort of getting ready to talk was thinking about, after a day like today, what endures and what falls away. You know, this is a really amazing collective space for sharing experience and forward thinking. But it struck me that this conversation is really about changing some of the old rules, but not all of them. So we're asking ourselves to consider consumption and a climate budget in the work that we do. We're asking to consider aspects of justice, as Natalie's just been talking about. But we're still operating in a competition economy. Many of us will leave this space today and be back in a world where we're all freelancers, we're competing for the same opportunities, and those opportunities are not equal. Freelancers need to market themselves with each production. It's not surprising that a young or younger designer from the global majority said to me, how am I supposed to build a portfolio that I can take to opportunities and find work? So sharing and mutuality is in a way countercultural, simply in the way that the business functions. And how we hang on to that as we leave this space today seems really fundamental and personal to each of us. Don't have an answer to that, but it was really something that this notion of sharing, which feels really present in this space, and how do we take it away from here? So what I was actually going to talk about is this, I'm going to move on, there we go. It was a really vague idea that got me here today that I was talking to Zoe about not long ago. Then I thought, of course, is a vague idea good enough? So I met to discuss it with some generous friends, a producer, production manager, a director, some other designers, and they had lots more ideas. Some of those ideas became attached to the vague idea, and some went into a kind of ideas overflow. It's pretty infinite, that overflow. You can sort of feel it today. We're each sort of almost helplessly prolific. And in conversation, we mutually multiply ideas. That's collaboration. There's loads of that today. At some point, for sure, for we are good people, we refine and distill and focus ideas into what we hope is the exact combination to match the project. And so it becomes quite easy to stop an idea before it really lights up. So I'm interested in the bit before refinement, the bit before why something might not work, the bit when nothing can stop us, when the ideas are youngest and most vivid, unruly maybe. Perhaps this is because in a time where every day we are meeting the question of lessness, there is a welcome counterpoint in abundance, playfulness, willfulness even. A kind of permissive elasticity. After all, ideas themselves do not consume the material world. So do let's be profligate in our inspiration, in our breathing in. So in the spirit of, skimming stones across the surface of an idea, here's that vague one that brought me here. This year's Architecture Biennale in Venice has the title The Laboratory of the Future, with twin themes of decolonization and decarbonization. It was an absolutely spectacular act of curatorial rigor and imagination by Leslie Locco, and I felt really lucky to see it. The German team's exhibit was called Open for Maintenance. And I've got some slides that I took while I was there. So here you see pictures of what was called the material repository, materials gathered from over 40 national pavilions and exhibits in the previous year's Biennale, which were saved from landfill and moved to the German pavilion. The materials were meticulously inventoried, displayed, and made available to students, craftspeople, and trades apprentices. It was the first time I'd seen a store look like a creative act, aesthetically thoughtful and immediately inspiring. In the catalogue, there was the expected information on dimensions, materials, quantity, etc. And there were the details of who had been the initial designer, where and how the raw materials had been used, sometimes a photograph of the original work. International fingerprints were made visible. It was this, the continuity of creative lineage and generosity in releasing materials back into the life cycle, which got me thinking about that vague idea, which I am currently calling, I lost my page, the Doing and Undoing series. It's a game in 5 parts. So the idea, a sequence of 5 productions where each design takes the previous design as its found space location. The aim. The aim is for teams to flourish in the passing on and to be animated by the given space, to open up inquiry about aesthetic and cultural references, to renew, question our alphabets and our assumptions, for prior resources to be imaginatively and happily integrated into a new proposal, for individuals to learn about and be inspired by their colleagues' work, to bring together a temporary family of theatre makers and to encourage curiosity about the idea of originality. The simple rules: the setup, first take an existing design as the found space, make this as arbitrary as possible, gain the permission of the creators and leave it on stage. Each project retains a minimum amount, say 75% of the material assets of that design. You reorganize, you repurpose, redefine that 75% to make the designated space for your project. Save any removed assets, bring in up to 25% of additional materials, virgin or pre-loved, but with a climate-aware approach. Repeat 5 times. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Vicki.